started. I'm hoping everyone can hear me okay. Let me just share my screen. All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm Rebecca Gentile. I'm the new Director of Athletics at Corning Painted Post. I'm super excited to be here with everyone tonight, and I really appreciate you joining us to go over our spring sports meeting with you. Of course, it wouldn't be the upcoming spring season without one day being in the 70s and then a few days later getting hit with a big snowstorm. So I'm hoping if you did have a commute, you made it home safely and that you're warm in your homes. So let's get going. Here's my contact information on the first screen. You'll see my email and the phone number at our office if you ever need to get a hold of me. I also want to do a special shout out to Mike Simmons tonight. He's the man behind the curtain making this meeting happen for us. So thank you so much, Mr. Simmons. Our athletic department would not run without this team. First off is Monica Collins. She's secretary to the director of athletics, and Monica's actually retiring at the end of this school year. She's been in the athletic department this week. It was 31 years. So if you talk to Monica, please wish her the best of luck with her retirement. And we are fortunate to have three amazing athletic managers, Josh Keeler, Eric Kazis, and Chris Wirt. They're absolutely amazing. And if you ever have questions, they know so much about our athletic department. On the main screen, if you didn't get a chance to see it, there is a portion on the bottom of your screen where you can ask questions. Mr. Simmons will keep track of the questions, and there'll be points during the presentation where either me or my athletic managers will be able to answer your questions. If there's a question I'm not able to answer, I will definitely find the answer and get it to you, or do some type of FAQ and post it. So there's just a minute for you to read that. So yeah, if the question disappears, moderator has recorded it, so you're good to go. So opening date and tryouts for JV and varsity, that will be this Monday, March 14th. I have created this document you'll see on the right-hand side, and that'll get released on our website by tomorrow morning. With the weather and things changing and us having a couple of our athletic teams, our basketball teams playing in the regional finals, this could change a little bit. So this is more of a tentative schedule. So keep your eyes and ears open if there are any changes based on what happens at our game Sunday and with the weather. Also, there's reminder information on how to sign up on Family ID, and that your coaches will be in communication about team meetings and the tryout period and different things like that. Also, our modified teams, they'll be starting 2 weeks later. Their start date is March 28th. I will have a similar document like this posted by March 21st. And again, this is just a reminder, Family ID registration. Please make sure you sign up on Family ID. The link is posted on our social medias. It is on our athletic webpage. It's here for you right now. And you will have to have an annual physical or medical update posted in there or turned into our medical office. If you do have issues with Family ID, maybe you forgot your password or can't get in there for some reason, there is a tech support number right here on this slide and extension 1 to get a hold of them. If you do have specific questions and can't get a hold of anyone for some reason, don't hesitate, reach out to me at my office. I'll help you any way I can too. Just a reminder, I know sometimes this might come off of our radar, SATs and ACTs are still going on, and here are the remaining dates for those tests this year. So just keeping that in mind when you're planning certain events. All right, one of my favorite slides, and I'm gonna start with the first bullet. Just a reminder, our student athletes are students first, very important. Very passionate about the Scholar Athlete program through NISFA. We have been a school of excellence in the past. I would love to be a school of distinction. So the difference, being a school of excellence means 75% of our teams had 90% or higher GPAs. A school of distinction means 100% of our teams had 90% GPAs or higher. And right now we are on the track to being a school of distinction. So I hope we continue that pathway through the rest of our school year. It's amazing. We have great student athletes as far as winning goes, and winning in the classroom is super, super important to me. So I'm going to hand the microphone over now to Mr. Josh. He's going to talk about attendance policy and lead into middle school academic eligibility, and then he'll hand it over to Eric to talk about the high school part.
Good evening, everybody. My camera is not working, so great to have us in here. Excited to get the spring season started. I've been asked to talk about two policies that you all should be aware of. When you signed up on Family ID, you had to initial not only yourself, but your student athlete that you acknowledge our code of conduct. Both of these policies can be found in that code. The first policy is our attendance policy. We expect our athletes in school every day by 9 a.m. All right. And I understand school starts at 8 o'clock. There are extenuating circumstances that sometimes kids are a little late to school. But if they're going to be a part of our sports programs, we expect them in the building by 9 a.m. Now, I understand that there's appointments, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, orthodontist appointments that are scheduled well in advance that can be a problem getting the kids there by 9 a.m. If you have one of those appointments, ask the medical office that you're at for a doctor's note so that when your son or daughter returns to school and they check in with student services or in the attendance office, they can hand in that note and they will be good to go. That is a valid excuse. What is not a valid excuse is a note from mom or dad saying, my son or daughter woke up sick this morning. They are feeling better now. They wanted to come to school. If that note is from you, it's not a valid excuse. And what will happen is your student athlete, your son or daughter, will not be able to participate in any practices or competitions on that day only. I want to stress to you, if your son or daughter is coming in after the 9 a.m. deadline, make sure that they have some sort of excuse from a doctor's office so that their eligibility for practice and games that night is not impacted. Now, there are always extenuating circumstances, and when they arise, we'll work with you and with Miss Gentile to get approval whether your son or daughter can participate on that day. But that's our policy, both at the high school and at the middle school. The other policy I've been asked to talk about is the academic eligibility policy. I'll speak to the middle school as I'm a sixth grade teacher and familiar with the trimesters and the grading policy in that building. So the middle school or the modified season begins March 28th. Interesting enough, the second trimester report cards will be released to you all on March 28th as well. So it's like the perfect time to start our spring season. Once our modified rosters are set, I'll go through and I'll start looking at all of our student athletes' grades. Any student that has 2 or more grades below a 65 on trimester 2 report card will go on to what we call our watch list. Now at the middle school, those students will go on a weekly report card in which I will work with their team of teachers and they will assess your son or daughter's effort within their classes. If they don't have any unsatisfactory efforts in that week, their eligibility to compete in games is not impacted. The only time that it's going to be impacted is when your son or daughter gets a weekly report card with 2 or more unsatisfactory comments from their teachers. So I'm going to stress to any of the student athletes and you as the parents, if your son or daughter is ever put on that watch list, all of the communication will come from me. Make sure that your son or daughter is getting all their homework done. They're in school as much as they possibly can. They're being the students that we all know they can be, and their eligibility will never be impacted.
Thank you, Josh. Eric, do you want to talk on the high school?
Yes, because it is a little bit different, so I can talk on that. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate your time. I will start with just kind of touch on the attendance policy. That's really, really close to the alignment with the middle school. Actually, I mean, it's dead on. The only thing I wanted to say is when Josh mentions extenuating circumstances. So like we've had kids who take a driver's test, say, at 10 o'clock a.m. So as long as we get a photo, some type of copy of that, whether it's the kid passing the test, the appointment reminder, something like that, some proof from there that he or she was at that appointment or that driver's test, then we'll accept that also. We're not looking to get kids or trick them. We just want to make sure that kids are where they're supposed to be when they're not at school. In terms of academic eligibility at the high school, what we do is we also, well, we don't really put them on a watch list. They're automatically out for a week. So I'll give you for instance, our marking period or our progress report comes out Friday. And the grades will be submitted into the system on Monday, the 14th. So what we will do is we will use that week to go down through and find the kids who are academically ineligible. We'll take the rosters the coaches give us, and we'll go down through and find those kids who have 2 failing grades or more. So if a student athlete has 1 failing grade, they won't be on the list. It has to be 2 failing grades or more. At the high school level, it's not effort, it's the grades. So what I'll then do is I'll send an email. We'll find those kids, send an email to the parents. It'll be very, very descriptive and exact as to what the student athlete will be missing. Next week, we'll have the grades. The following week, which will be the second week of spring sports, would be the suspension period, if you will. I don't think there may be a few games, scrimmages that week. The student athletes would be out of those. But so this first week isn't going to impact the kids that much in regards to games. Where it will impact them is they have to do 5 academic hours. So aside from missing the games that week, they have to do 5 hours of academic training, if you will. It has to be during their lunch, study hall, after school, anytime that's not a class period. They have to sit down. I'll have a form. I'll give the kid that form. Give each kid the form that they will take to the teachers, and the teachers fill out the time. So it has to be 5 hours of accumulated time for the week. Now, say they don't get it done that week. It will kick into the next week. It doesn't mean the kid's out the entire week, the following week. If they don't play till Tuesday the following week, and they're at 4.5 hours, and they get it done Monday, and they can get it to me or to the coach, and the coach gets it to me before the game, then once that first week's over, then it's a day-by-day scenario. And once they have those hours, then they can participate in the next practice or contest, or the next contest, because for this, they're not out for practices. So then they can participate in that next contest as soon as those 5 hours are completed. So there is a little bit of a difference between a middle school and high school when it comes to the academic eligibility piece.
Awesome. Thank you guys for explaining all of that. All right. So again, this is right out of the Student Athlete Code of Conduct, the attendance piece that they were talking about. You can find the Student Athlete Code of Conduct on our webpage under the athletics department if you ever need to refer to the document. Moving on, I did want to touch on some pieces of the Code of Conduct. I'm not sure the last time it was touched on at the sports parent meetings, but I think it's really important just to hit on some of these topics. So as far as if your student athlete is present at a party where there's alcohol or illegal drugs, they need to leave immediately and also report their attendance to a coach or an administrator at the end of the next school day or by the end of the next practice. If they don't report that they were in attendance at the party where alcohol or illegal drugs were present, they will be judged to have been in possession or guilty by presence. And this is in our code of conduct word for word. So really, really important that they're just truthful and straightforward with us about what could have potentially gone on. Another important one is tobacco, alcohol, or illegal drugs, section 5.2 in our code of conduct. Just a reminder, our student athletes are year round. So say they started in the fall playing a sport, they're the student athlete for that whole year. So if they're involved with any tobacco, alcohol, or illegal drug use, they are held to the code of conduct. So really important to remember. Here's our substance abuse policy. There, it is a little bit more detailed in the code of conduct, but these are really the important bullet points. So the first offense, they would be suspended from 30% of scheduled contests. They have to complete 10 hours of approved community service. So keyword, it needs to be approved. So then their suspension would be reduced to 15% by doing the community service. Second offense, just amps it up, suspended from 50% of the scheduled contests. They would be required to participate in a school-based drug and alcohol awareness program, and it would carry over into the following season if it had to. Then third offense, which hopefully we don't even get to this at all, they would be suspended for 1 calendar year. Also referred to professional dependency program. So hopefully we never have to worry about this, but it is in our code of conduct. It's part of what your student athlete is agreeing to by being a part of our programs. And then just a quote, life is a matter of choices and every choice you make makes you. And then this is just Teen Intervene. So parents, if you ever need a resource, here you go. There's an email, Stacy, and also a phone number. If you ever have to reach out, here's that information. And again, this is recorded. So if you ever have to refer to the video, it will be posted on our YouTube channel. So you can do that. Give you a couple of seconds if you want to look over that. All right. So questions and answers. Do we have any questions? Hopefully
Becca, Mike here. We've got one in that is physicals related. It's kind of a particular case. I have a child going on the band trip to Ireland this Saturday. Can I submit her health physical the week that they get back? Will she still be eligible, or do we need to rush in and get her physical done this week?
Yeah, so with physicals, the student athlete just won't be approved in Family ID. So you don't have to rush anything, but they will not be able to participate in practice or contests until that updated physical is uploaded and our nurse goes in and approves them. So just know that could delay that process. So up to you on when you can get that. Don't want to stress anyone out over it, but they just cannot participate in practice and contests until they are approved in Family ID, and the physical is part of that.
Becca, no other questions at this time.
Okay.
Folks on the call, the Q&A panel is down there at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use it. And as Becca said at the top, if your question disappears, that means we've got it for moderation and we'll be bringing it to the panelists.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, here we go. Hawks Booster Club. So this is pretty awesome. And again, I've only been at Corning for a little over a month, but I've had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Davis, and he's really passionate about Booster Club, but also super passionate about helping our athletic programs, our teams, getting them what they need. They also do membership drives. They'll do spirit wear. I don't know when the next spirit wear sale is. I know that might be a question, but I know there will be one. So just look out. We'll post it on social media and our website when there is a spirit wear sale. They do scholarships. They help out with our scroll banquet. The special requests is what comes from our coaches and our programs when they need stuff for their programs. And they run our concession stands. So also, if you ever want to be part of Booster Club, don't hesitate to reach out to Dan Davis. It's a really rewarding group to be a part of, and we're really fortunate to have them. So shout out to Booster Club for all they do for our athletics department. Schedule Galaxy. I know Schedule Galaxy's been around for a handful of years now. So you can always go, that's the link right to this page that you'll see. I put a little snippet so you know what it looks like when you get to it. That's where we post all of our games and all the information as far as when the bus will leave, when the game starts. Monica is amazing at updating it. So if there is a contest that's canceled, you will see it in Schedule Galaxy pretty close to when we find out that it's canceled or rescheduled. So you can always go in there. It also has, you'll see where it says filter activities. So you can narrow it down to your sport. Also, you can't see it in this snippet, but on the left-hand side of the web page, you can also narrow it down to your student athlete sport, as well as team, JV, varsity, modified. So pretty great website. If you ever have questions about contests, usually updated right in here. If there's a super important message that I have to get out, I will use Schedule Galaxy. So you might see on the screen right under where it has the Corning painted post and the address, you'll see in bold a message if I ever have to put anything on there. So that's Schedule Galaxy. Transportation definitely changed with COVID. Now that we don't have to wear masks, we don't have to do seating charts on the bus as far as right now, but I still wanted to leave this slide. I think it's really important. Student athletes can have food on the bus as long as the driver is okay with it. So it's going to depend on their bus driver. I know going to contests, your student athlete might need to have a snack, and usually our drivers are really good about that. So that's awesome. And then just a reminder, to remind your student athletes, clean up after themselves, right? They should leave the bus cleaner than when they got on it. Also displaying appropriate behavior on the bus. It's a privilege to ride a bus. So making sure that they're behaving on the bus is important. We will have shuttle systems. So teams coming from the middle school to the high school or high school to the middle school. We also have a couple modified teams that will be off-site this season. There will be bus numbers, but we're waiting to see what our final numbers look like. And I'll work with the transportation department to get those numbers, and the student athletes will know what they are well in advance. Transportation waiver. So this came out this school year, and we're going to use it through the end of the school year. I know that's what was said earlier this year, so we're just gonna keep going with it. It's your option as a parent to fill out the transportation waiver. Your coaches each have a copy of this. So if you can request it through your coach. But just, again, it can't be student drivers. It would have to be parents to transport the athletes to and from away contests. So that's the waiver still in place through the rest of this school year. And again, your coach has a copy of this should you need it. You could always reach out to me too if you need it. Any questions?
None at this time. We're doing fine.
All right. Health and safety contacts. Ann Stefanini is our lead nurse. So if you have any questions, if maybe there was an incident at practice, someone got hurt, you have questions, you need to ask the nurse, you could always reach out to Ann. Also, Anthony Penn is our athletic trainer. He does a phenomenal job for us. We are so grateful to have him with us at Corning. So again, your student athlete is going through an injury, he may be working with them. Ann is also a great contact as far as COVID. If you have any questions, if your student athlete is displaying symptoms, you can always reach out to her. Wanted to post the Guthrie Sports Medicine Access Clinic. It is by appointment only, so make sure you write down their phone number should you need to get in to see anyone there. And then a couple phone numbers are high school and middle school phone numbers. And again, I'm not sure if our SMAC clinic number is on our website, but our high school, middle school numbers are definitely on our district website should you need those. And moving on, return to play protocol. So concussion management is the first one. It has not changed as far as protocols go. So that's posted there. This is also on our athletic webpage. Our COVID-19 protocols, the one I kind of want to touch on, it has changed through the school year as we're moving forward with COVID. The one big change you'll see, the 4th star down under COVID-19, the student athlete would enter a 3 or 5 day play protocol based on physician clearance from above. So that changed. It used to be 5 to 7 day protocol. So it's lessened as we've been moving forward. So just wanted you to take note on that one. And you'll see it as we move into this COVID return to play protocol. As of right now, we still have the protocol in place. We do, if anything changes, we will change. We go off of the pediatrics. So again, the change is mild procedures versus moderate procedures, 3 day versus 5 day. So it really just depends on the physician and what they determine as far as case severity goes on what your student athlete would have to do. But again, it is less than before, less days than it was before. And this, again, is on our athletic webpage, should you need to refer to it. And Ann, Mrs. Stefanini, she does a wonderful job staying on top of things, communicating with parents right away, keeping you in the loop of what the student athlete needs to do. So there's really no wasted time on, we want to get your kids back playing, but we want to do it the right and safe way too. Any questions on that? I wasn't sure, we might get some on the COVID piece.
None on COVID. Josh took one on transportation. Josh, did you want to share that with the entire webinar?
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, do parents need a waiver to bring their kids home from a contest? Most coaches will have a sign out sheet for you to sign at the end of the contest when the coach releases them. Just make sure your name is signed before the athlete leaves with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
And Becca, nothing else in the queue.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Community outreach. If you're on social media, not everyone is. I just want to make sure you're aware that we do. I'm mostly the one posting on our Facebook page. So go and like us. I really like to post stuff promoting our kids. I I make these promo flyers. I hope they like them. Hope the parents like them. It does take a little bit of time, but I enjoy doing it. We have a Twitter, so you could search us at Corning Hawks. I post anything I post on Facebook. I also then post on Twitter, and then I post our athletic related postings on our CPP schools Instagram page as well. So should you have social media, please follow us on all of those sites. Also have the district website link there for you. And I put Schedule Galaxy here again too, so it's all in one spot. All right, so this is an important one to me as far as communication goes. So should you have an issue, a question, concern, I always ask as the athletic director that you reach out to your coach first. So if you call me as a parent or you email me, I'm going to say, have you talked to the coach? That's going to be my first question no matter what. It doesn't mean I'm not going to help you. That's my job, so I will help you, but I really, really want you to talk to the coach. So another thing, please avoid approaching the coach at practice or a contest. It's better to set something up with them so they're not taken off guard by anything and they can prepare. As a former coach, it's really hard, especially if it was a tough loss. So say we're playing horse heads in a very intense game, we lose, which won't happen because we're going to win. But to be approached by a parent and it being a negative conversation it's not the place, it's not the time. So set something up. 24-hour rule. I use this myself. If you are upset about something, maybe your student athlete isn't getting the playing time you believe they deserve. Maybe something happened that you're just upset about. Give yourself time. Give yourself time to digest, to cool off before you reach out to the coach. It's better to just digest maybe what happened and give yourself that 24 hours to reach out. Also, encourage your student athlete to communicate. If there is questions I always bring up playing time because that's what comes up most often. If there's question why Sally's not getting in the game, encourage your student athlete to have that conversation with the coach, right? We want to teach our kids to advocate for themselves. So it's important, and respectfully, of course. And just always remember, coaches are people too. All right. We're all human. We all go through stressful times. It's been a stressful couple of years, really, with COVID. So just keep it in mind. We're all human. Next, I'm really passionate about sportsmanship. So this is the saying from NISVA: be loud, be proud, be positive. I'm not going to read all of these, but bottom line is I want Corning not to just be known for winning titles and championships. I want Corning to be known as the school with the best sportsmanship. So our student athletes are the first ones helping a kid from an opposing team up. They're the first one to take their hand to get up. Just being positive all the way around, even with officials, parents cheering on our kids, not booing the other team or anything like that, not getting in officials' faces or giving them a hard time. We definitely have a shortage for officials. They're not professionals. So just being really respectful of, umpires and any officials doing our contest is really important to me. So again, be loud, be proud, be positive, and we're going to be great. And we're going to have a good season. I want to get those officials awards for sportsmanship. I want our kids to get those and be recognized for the role models that they are. And we do a pretty great job at Corning. I'm pretty proud of us. So I just want to keep that going. And that's really all I had for tonight. So were there any last questions?
Just one based on COVID protocols and vaccine status. There wasn't a mention of vaccination status for the COVID-19 protocols. Are there any differences in protocols based on one's status?
Yes, so it's just there's a ton of different options. So I believe we actually have a diagram that goes through all of them based on vaccination that Ms. Stefanini has. I'm not sure if the person asking the question, if we could jot down their contact information, but that is a good question. And I can also post it on our athletic webpage as far as what happens as far as being in contact with someone with COVID or if you have COVID yourself. So I'm not sure if you could see a name on there.
We don't get the emails there, Becca. Could I suggest you roll back to your first slide and put your email address up, and they could be in touch with you,
Yeah.
perhaps?
Let me go. Oh, can I go?
There was nothing else pending in the queue.
All right. Yep. Let me go back so you can get my email. And everyone, don't hesitate. If you ever have a question, reach out to me. It's never going to be a bother. I try to get back within 24 hours. You can call my office at any time. I'd love to hear from you or meet with you. The more people I can meet in our district, the better. So I'm put my contact. Here we go. All right. So there's my email and phone number. Again, I'll try and get all of those different scenarios with COVID on our webpage too to help everyone out, because I'm sure more than just one person has that question. And that's all I have. So I really appreciate, thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us tonight. Thank you to my athletic managers for joining and Mr. Simmons for running the show.